Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers IAS Academy. This is daily news analysis session. We will be discussing some 3 to 4 important articles from mains and 4 to 5 important articles from prelims perspective. So, the first article for 16th July 2025 is from the Hindu. There was an editorial about issue with criminalizing all adolescent relationships. We will see in what context they are talking and what is the issue here. A 14-year-old girl from rural West Bengal eloped with a 25-year-old man, later married him and had a child at 17. Despite her continued support for the man, he was arrested and convicted under Section 6 of the POCSO Act. Aggravated, penetrated sexual assault was the charge against him, receiving 20 years imprisonment. The case reached Supreme Court in Right to Privacy of Adolescents 2025 case. Okay, so you can see the graveness of the case. Though the consent is there from the girl, her consent is not considered valid because she is not mature yet. Okay, she is still an adolescent. So the article discusses how we should treat different adolescent relations differently or on the case-to-case basis. So what was the court's journey? Initially, the case went to Kolkata High Court in 2022. It reversed the conviction considering the couple's socio-economic background, her continued relationship and hardship. However, it made regressive remarks about female sexuality. Okay, that is not how the judiciary should be acting. Okay, this is not to the level that the judiciary is expected to work at. So the case went to Supreme Court. The case was taken by Supreme Court on suo motu cognizance amid media backlash. So it restored conviction, rejecting non-exploitative adolescent relationships. Okay, the Kolkata High Court considered this relationship as non-exploitative adolescent relationship, and it also considered that if her husband is put to jail, she would be going through hardships. However, the case said there is no thing as non-exploitative adolescent relationships, and later, after the emotional input from the woman who is now an adult, chose not to sentence the man under Article 142, noting that harm sentencing would cause the woman. However, the court said that though it is non-exploitative adolescent relationship, but the woman is now an adult. Though she married at 14, though she had a child at 17, now she is an adult. And the court considered that if we put him to the jail, then she is going to suffer because there will be harm to her because she is going to be live alone. Now, called it an extraordinary case not to be treated as precedent. Okay, court also understood the graveness of this precedent. If the court said that if you marry a girl when she is an adolescent or when she is a child and have a kid when she is an adolescent and when she is an adult, if she agrees to be with you, then the guy or the person or the boy is not is not charged under Article 142 or is not charged under POCSO Act. The court said that this case has to be treated as an extraordinary case and it should not be set as a precedent, meaning all the further cases should be seen on a case-to-case basis rather than seeing this as a precedent. Okay, so the article discusses the key legal and social issues in under this one, under blanket criminalization under POCSO Act. Okay, the age of consent under POCSO is 18, which was raised from 16 in 2012. The law assumes all sexual acts under 18 are exploitative, leaving no room for adolescent agency. Adolescent relationships between peers or with the small age groups are common. There, according to an Enfold study, 24.3% of romantic POCSO cases, 82% of victims refused to testify against the accused. Okay, so there was a curious case. So there was recently a movie called as Court, a Telugu movie which was in Netflix, which was about court, which discussed the very serious case which has been explained here. Okay, the girl is of 16 years of age. and the boy is of 18 years of age. They are in a serious love relationship, and the parents of a child, the parents of the a girl child, they goes to court and charges him under POXO Act, saying that she is a minor and he is not a minor anymore. So the court argues and the case goes on, and it says that all the relationships should not be held as the same, meaning a 16 or a 14-year girl and 28-year boy, then this is a graver mistake. And if there is a case of 16-year boy and 16-year girl and 18-year-old boy, this is not so much of a grave case. It should be considered as a case-to-case basis. This is what they are reaffirming here, meaning there are 23.24.3 POXO cases of romantic cases were there, of which nearly 82% of the victims refused to testify against the accused. Okay, then consent and flawed agency. In context of poverty, lack of opportunity, and child marriage norms, adolescent decisions may reflect limited agency and not informed consent. Yet, criminalizing such choices leads to greater harm, especially for the girls. Because once you criminalize such issues, the boy or the male partner goes to jail and leaving the women alone, which is going to bring more harm. And there is also systematic failure. That is, a girl suffered family abandonment, social stigma, legal trauma, and lack of state support because of criminalizing the case. Institutionalizing under Juvenile Justice Act often leads to a further humiliation and rights violations. The Supreme Court called this case as a complete failure of society and the legal system. Okay, then there is also judicial dissonance. Court acknowledges need for nuance, but judgments remain inconsistent. That is, Bombay High Court in 2025 refused to quash a consensual adolescent case awaiting a law reform. There is reluctance to set systematic reform in motion via jurisprudence alone. The court does want certain nuances, court does want certain legal reforms. However, the court is reluctant to take action under Article 142. So, court is waiting for some sort of legal action, some sort of legislative action. Okay. Then, so what should be done here? In such cases, what should be the way forward? Bring legal reform proposals. That is, recognize consensual, non-exploitative relationships between older adolescents, that is 16 plus years of age, as distinct category like many other countries and UNRC General Comment 2020. Okay, under these and in many other countries, 16 plus is considered as a older adolescent as a distinct category. Define invalid consent in terms of coercion, authority imbalance, and lack of informed choice, and not merely age. Okay, so there are other variables to be considered in adolescent relationship. It is not only based on the age but also on the coercion. Whether if the relationship is based on coercion, then the action has to be taken, or if it is authority imbalance, if there is an imbalance in authority between the male or the female, or there is a huge age gap, then it has to be taken into cognizance again. And if there is a lack of informed choice, that is, if the girl is coerced or if the girl is merely pushed into a relationship with the fake promises and other things, then that has to be taken into consideration again. So, policy recommendations under this article is comprehensive sexuality education to the child, especially the girl children, life skill training and counseling, emergency support and grievance redressal mechanisms, and better data on adolescent relationships and judicial outcomes. Okay, so very important article, the POXO and the changes needed under this act. There can directly be a question on POXO Act in your mains paper 2. Recently, in the last 2024 mains, there was directly question on a certain acts. There was a question on codes of labor codes. There are questions on labor codes, and there was also question on a recent act which was brought into eliminate cheating cases in the examinations. So there was again a case on, or there was again a question on certain individual acts. So there can easily be a question on the individual act, that is POXO. So have certain data and also certain issues with respect to POXO Act. Then the second article is again from the Hindu. It talks about contesting the future of forest governance, revisiting the rights under CFR rights under FRA 2006. What is CFR? We'll understand. Recently, the Chhattisgarh Forest Department designated itself as a nodal agency for implementing community forest reserves rights under the Forest Rights Act of 2006. So, CFR is Community Forest Resource Rights. This move violated the autonomy of Grama Sabhas, which are the rightful authorities under the Act. Okay, what is FRA? FRA is Forest Rights Act, which was brought in 2006. Under this, there are four rights are given to the tribals and forest dwellers, such as user rights, title rights, and minor forest produce rights, and community forest management rights. And in community forest management rights or forest resource rights, the legal authority under this act is Grama Sabha, that to decide what resources should be given to the people or the tribal dwellers rests with Grama Sabha. But in this curious case, the Chhattisgarh Forest Department has taken the authority, which is in violation of Forest Rights Act. It also mandated adherence to model plan and prohibited support from other institutions, which is undermining the decentralized forest governance. So just the basic about Forest Rights Act and FCFR. Community Forest Reserve Rights under Section 3(1) Clause I of the Forest Rights Act of 2006 empowers Grama Sabha to protect, regenerate, conserve and manage customary forest lands, and also to prepare CFR management plans based on the local needs and ecological wisdom. And law seeks to correct colonial forest injustices where the state took control of community forest, displacing the traditional forest management systems. They wanted to bring the authority to the people of the forest, which is led by Grama Sabha. Now, this move by Chhattisgarh Forest Department is, in all senses, is going back to the colonial mindset again, going back to the colonial route again. Okay, so legal and institutional violations. The Forest Department's move contradicts Forest Rights Act, which designates Grama Sabha as the authority. Impose external templates, that is model plans, violating community autonomy, and also prevents collaboration with NGOs or experts, weakening the grassroots capacity. Okay, so the letter was withdrawn after resistance from Adivasi groups, panchayats and civil society, but signals persistent institutional resistance to community forest rights. So this is the curious case of Chhattisgarh. The students of anthropology can use this case with regard to Forest Rights Act of 2006. There is a dedicated section for the tribal management or the forest management in anthropology paper 2. So there is always a question about Forest Rights Act of 2006 sorry, and its working, also what is its status. So these kind of case studies can be used in your further material. Next, forest management and the contrasting visions. The working plans, that is forest management or forest department. The origin here is colonial scientific forestry focused on timber maximization. There are different contrasting visions. One is by the forest department, that is headed by forest department, which is mainly a colonial scientific forestry. Aim was mainly for the timber maximization or the exploitation of forest resources for the colonial use. Still central to forest governance despite promotion of monocultural plantations, neglect of local livelihoods and biodiversity, and little external scientific review. Reforms do exist, for example, focus on restoration, but bureaucratic control remains intact in India, which was supposed to be broken when the Britishers left India, but that has carried forward. And second is CFR management plans led by Grama Sabhas. Aim is, or it was designed to prioritize local livelihoods, ecology and adaptive responses, and it recognizes local ecological knowledge and non-timber values, integrated with working plans only by Grama Sabhas and not overridden by them. But adaptation is limited, or the adoption is limited. of 10,000 CFRR titles, fewer than 1,000 communities have prepared plans due to lack of support and sabotage by the forest departments. Okay, so even though the rights are provided under the legislative manner or in the law, they are not able to get their rights because of the bureaucratic apathy or the bureaucratic interference. In this case, the forest departments. What are the challenges to implementation then? First is the state's resistance, that is the attempts to revoke CFR titles, deny funds and reject funds. There have been the attempts from the state government and Ministry of Tribal Affairs inconsistency, that is issued people friendly guidelines in 2015 and later diluted by aligning with CFR plans with the National Working Plan Code. Okay, there is also inconsistency from the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And National Working Plan Code is very complex, data intensive and rooted in timber oriented goals, ill suited for the diverse livelihood needs and the local knowledge of the people. Okay, that is these are the issues with respect to implementation of Forest Rights Act. Reclaiming governance. So what should be the way forward? What needs to be done? According to the author of this article, one is rejecting National Working Plan Code based conformity for the CFR plans, strengthening Dharti Aba Janajatiya Grama Utkarsh Yojana as a flexible planning tool. Okay, Dharti Aba Janajatiya Grama Utkarsh Yojana is a very important scheme of the government to address the issues with respect to tribals of forest regions. So read about this scheme. Enable iterative, locally driven planning processes. Forest departments should provide logistical and financial support. Shift from timber centric science to people and ecosystem centric management. With this, we can not only, so in the key principle is, you can use this as your conclusion. CFRR demands shedding historical baggage and embracing new possibilities. Emphasis should be on adaptive, democratic and ecologically grounded governance. Okay, then the third article is about global shipping and decarbonization. It is again an article from the text and context part of the Hindu, which discusses about how do you decarbonize shipping industry. What is the goal? The target is decarbonizing global shipping by 2040-2050. It aligns with International Maritime Organization's goals for net zero emissions by 2050, aims to replace fossil-based marine fuels like VLSFO, diesel and LNG with the green alternatives. So we will see what are the green marine fuels. First one is green hydrogen, produced by electrolysis of water using renewable energy and not directly used in shipping due to storage and safety concerns. Second is green ammonia, made from green hydrogen and the nitrogen, emits no carbon when burned. Challenges are there, that is toxic, storage at low temperatures and engine modifications are needed, which is capital intensive in nature. Third one is green e-methanol. What is this? It is made from green hydrogen plus captured carbon dioxide from the industrial sources. It is a low carbon fuel, that is 90% less carbon than SFO. Easier adoption due to liquid state at the ambient temperatures and can be used with the modest engine and storage changes. So most suitable is the green e-methanol. And the fourth one is biofuels, which is obviously derived from biological or organic material, seen as an interim solutions, but scale limitations and land use concerns remain. So out of all the four, third one, that is the green e-methanol, seems to be the most suitable option. Then why is decarbonizing the shipping very difficult? First is high fuel cost, that is the most suitable option, that is green e-methanol, is very costly, that is it costs $1,950 per tons compared to VLSFO at $560 per ton. So it is almost 4 times the cost of VLSFO. which is non-economical, and technology lag, that is shipping industry is conservative and slow to adapt a new technology, and infrastructure gaps, that is lack of bunkering or refueling infrastructure for green fuels, and then engine compatibility, that is retrofitting or building green capable ships require a high capital investment, and then green fuel supply demand gap, that is expected demand for green methanol in 2028 is 14 million tons but projected to supply only 11 million tons. So these are the gaps which needs to be addressed: high fuel cost, technology lag, and infrastructure gaps in terms of refueling and engine compatibility in terms of retrofitting and building green capabilities, and green fuel supply demand gap. Okay, all these things make decarbonizing the shipping very difficult. What about specific to India? What is India's strategy for green shipping? First is about the domestic plans. Aim is to decarbonize coastal shippings using the green fuels, develop green bunkering hubs at Tuticorin and Kandla ports, retrofitting and new ship builds with a green fuel compatibility. Target is at least 10 out of 10 to 20% of the 100 ships, that is under 110 billion, 10 billion plan, to be green fuel capable and Indian flagged. Okay, then green ammonia push. India's fertilizer sector relies on LNG imports. So the green ammonia could substitute these LNG imports. India can become a major exporter of green ammonia to Singapore, which is a global refueling hub. So how can India build green fuel hubs then? There are certain strengths in India, that is solar power capacity has increased from 2.8 gigawatt in 2014 to 105 gigawatt in 2025, and industrial key CO2 sources and planned 1.5 gigawatt electrolyzer manufacturing capacity is going to help in this cause, and a strong experience in solar ecosystem creation via sovereign guarantees and policy assurance. So there is already experiences learned from the solar ecosystem creation. This can be applied to shipping green fuels. Challenges are: one is import dependency on solar panel and electrolysis, and high upfront cost for green methanol plants, and financing hurdles, that is Indian loans 12% interest, global banks offer only 4% interest, so which is costlier for Indian adoption. So policy recommendations under this article is they should provide sovereign guarantees for de-risking green fuel investments as well, and production linked incentive scheme for electrolyzer and green hydrogen production. Include these two sectors under the production linked scheme as well, and carbon capture utilization and storage incentives to improve e-methanol facilities, and feasibility, leveraging multilateral finances for capital access. Okay, in this case we can bring private or public private partnership here. So, and also there is a need to revive shipbuilding and ownership in India, encourage foreign partnerships with Japan, South Korea for technology and scale, retrofit existing vessels and build new capable ships domestically, and strategic incentives to make Indian shipyards competitive. Government to support Indian flagged green fuel ready fleet. With this, India can move towards decarbonizing the Indian ships. Now, there is an article with respect to need to protect India's linguistic secularism. I will be doing this in the current topic of the day. I will cover in that video. So I will skip this one. Now moving to prelims pointers. So I already discussed exercise talisman saber has been discussed in the YouTube shorts. You can go check it out. So, and then Barak Valley has already been discussed. Now, for today, the first prelim pointer is Kanwar Yatra, which is a sacred pilgrimage. Why it is in news? The Kanwar Yatra is going to be starting in a few days, so that there has been an issue about security and safety concerns. Kanwar Yatra is an annual Hindu pilgrimage observed during the month of Shravana, that is July and August. Devotees of Lord Shiva, who are known as Kanwariyas, travel to fetch holy water, that is Ganga Jal, from Ganga river and carry it back to their local Shiva temples. The water is poured on Shivalinga as part of the ritual called as Jala Abhishek. Then, meaning and the rituals. The word Kanwar refers to bamboo pole used to carry two pots of Ganga Jal. Yatra means journey or procession, hence Kanwar Yatra literally means journey with Kanwar. Pilgrims often walk barefoot, covering long distances ranging from tens to hundreds of kilometers. Devotees may come from Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, and other northern states. Some pilgrims even lie down and roll on the ground through entire route, which is known as a Dandavat Yatra. Then, major sites for water collection, from where do they collect the water, is Haridwar, Gangotri, Gaumukh, which is present in Uttarakhand, and Ajgai Binath in or Sultanganj in Bihar. From there they collect the water and then come back to their local Shiva temples. And destination temples are 12 Jyotirlingas across India and Kashi Vishwanatha Pita in Varanasi, UP, and Baba Baidyanath temple in Deoghar, Jharkhand, and Pura Mahadev in Oganath temple in UP. All these temples they will be bringing back the Ganga Jal. So there is also customs and code of conduct to be followed. That is, saffron robes are worn symbolizing devotion and asceticism. And many devotees observe fast, refrain from non-vegetarian food, and avoid touching the ground with water pot. Strict discipline and faith are observed, and any violation is considered disrespect to Lord Shiva. There have been modern changes, that is, while walking remains preferred route, some use bicycles or bikes or trucks for convenience, and loud music, slogans, and convoys have become more common in recent times, sometimes raising concerns over the public order. This public order or the concerns over the yatra has become a raising issue. Okay. Then second one for the prelims is Mahadehi Wildlife Sanctuary or Mahadai Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Goa. Why it is in news? News because environmentalists have raised serious concerns over the approval of an ecotourism resort on the Sarla Plateau, which allegedly falls within a critical tiger habitat inside the Mahadai Sanctuary. So where is the Mahadai Sanctuary located? Located in North Goa with the Western Ghats, within the Western Ghats, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the 8 hottest hotspots of biodiversity in the world, that is Western Ghats. Area of this Mahadai reserve is 208 square kilometer. It is named after the Mahadai river, which flows through the sanctuary. Features scenic waterfalls like Vajra Sakla Falls and Virdi Falls. Includes Goa's 3 highest peaks, that is Sansogod, Talche Sada, and Wageri. And forest is mainly semi-evergreen and moist deciduous. Common species are teak, sal, bamboo, medicinal herbs, and orchids. Famous for sacred groves, which conserve indigenous and rare tree species. And the fauna is, the flagship species is Bengal tiger, black panther, leopards, sloth bears, gaur, etc., etc. And heterofauna is, all of India's big 4 venomous snakes are found here. That is Indian kite, Russell viper, saw-scaled viper, and spectacled cobra. These are called as big 4 venomous snakes of India. And in avifauna, more than 250 bird species are found here. Malabar trogon, great pied hornbill, and Nilgiri wooden pigeon are endemic to this Mahadai reserve. And critically endangered species, the long-billed vultures nest on the cliff faces near the Vajra Falls. Okay, so heavy biodiversity rich place. As a result, its conservation is very important. So there have been conservation concerns. Sanctuary is part of the proposed tiger corridor linking Goa to Karnataka and Maharashtra, and approval of ecotourism projects could fragment habitats and hamper tiger conservation efforts. Calls to notify Mahadai Wildlife Sanctuary as a tiger reserve have been pending due to interstate water and environmental disputes. If you read about Mahadai, you should also know about Mahadayi water dispute between Karnataka, Goa, and Maharashtra. Okay, Karnataka wants Mahadayi River to serve the purpose of North Karnataka's water crisis. However, Goa sees Mahadayi as a lifeline of Goa and doesn't want to share the river water rivers. And few of the tributaries of Mahadayi River come from Maharashtra, so Maharashtra is also involved. So this has become a point of contention between these three states as well. So if you want more about this one, we can make a video about this. If you want video on this Mahadayi project, do write in the comment box. Then the last article for today is about Siganduru Bridge, infrastructure and milestone connectivity. Connectivity milestone, sorry. The Union Minister for the Road Transport and Highways recently inaugurated the Siganduru Bridge, which is an infrastructure project in Shimoga district, Karnataka. The alternate name is Ambaragodlu Kasavalli Bridge. It is across Sharavati river backwaters in Sagar Taluk of Shimoga district, Karnataka. Bridge type is cable stayed bridge. Length is of 44 kilometers. Note, okay. Width is 16 meters and cost is of 473 kilometers. Sorry, so 473 crores. National ranking, India's second longest cable stayed bridge. That is why it becomes very important. Significance is restores connectivity between Sagara town and Siganduru, which is a home of revered Chaudeshwari temple. Siganduru Chaudeshwari temple is a very famous temple in Karnataka. Many devotees go there. Previously, before the presence of this long-term like cable bridge, people used to travel there in boats. Okay. Historical disruption, that is connectivity had been broken due to the Linganamakki dam in the 1970s, submerging key land roads. So the Linganamakki dam was built in the Sagar district, which is also connects to the Jog Falls, the famous Jog Falls. This reduces the dependency on boats and eliminates long detours previously required for local residents, enhances tourism, pilgrimage access, and regional development in Western Ghats. So a very significant project. About Sharavati River, it originates in Western Ghats, Karnataka. It flows westward into the Arabian Sea, ending in near Honnavara in Uttar Kannada district. Length is 128 kilometers and the basin area is about 2,985 square kilometers and includes rocky terrain, deep gorges and fertile plains. And also, key feature is the Jog Falls formed by the Sharavati, which is the second highest waterfall in India, 253 meters. And dams and projects, Linganamakki Dam built for hydropower project irrigation. Significant backwaters are formed, disrupting traditional transport routes. The Jog Falls is one of the major tourist attractions in India. And the tributaries of Sharavati, Nandi Hole, Haridwarati, Mavina Hole, Hirakunji, Enne Hole, Hurri Hole, Nadagi Hole. Hole in India, sorry, Hole in Kannada just means a small streams. Okay, these small streams go and join the bigger river, that is Netravati here. Sorry, Sharavati. Netravati is another altogether different river in Karnataka, so Sharavati. So these are the articles which I want to discuss today. So I have covered very important articles from both mains and prelims perspective. So what are the points which I have told you important? Make note of it. They can be used as a fodder material in your mains answers. I keep emphasizing on this because the mains are very near and you need all the content you need content for your mains answer writing. Okay, so if you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.